So you mean to tell me the guy that everybody calls the orange man, right? Orange skin, orange tan, slightly orange hair, could potentially be trying to save college sports, which is realistically probably really good for schools like Oklahoma State. So if it's the case, maybe orange power?
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
How are we feeling, Big 12 country and America? Shout out to the regulators, a.k.a. everydayers. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State, your top stop for all things Cowboy and Cowgirl related. My name is Cody Stovall. I want to thank you kindly for stopping by to make this your first listen. We're available on all of your podcasting platforms, visually as well on YouTube. Find me personally on X at All Day O State. Today, we're partially brought to you by, of course, FanDuel. FanDuel is giving you a way to turn the energy into even bigger potential wins with the college basketball parlay profit boost. Make sure you head on over to FanDuel.com to get started today. Meanwhile, we get to slide into this college football, college sports conversation, and potentially Donald Trump jumping in to save college sports. And realistically, we do need something. Typically, government getting overly involved is not beneficial. However, we can all agree the state of college sports is not great. The state of the NIL and the transfer portal, it's not great. No, under basically zero circumstances should anybody be playing 8-9 years of college football. Under no circumstances should anybody be really playing for 5, 6, 7 schools. Like it's gotten to the point where it's beyond laughable. So do we need something to put bumper guards on this college experience? Yes, absolutely. And the round table that has taken place, some say a lot came out of it. Some say barely nothing came out of it. So we're going to kind of break some of it down here. Again, I will say this is probably beneficial for schools like Oklahoma State because can we financially afford to go heavy into this season? Yes, but I believe schools like Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Iowa State, they need some semblance of a return on the investment, right? So could Alabama, Georgia, Miami, could they go with 3-9 seasons constantly and keep pumping $30 million into their program? Yeah, they probably could. Could Oklahoma State do that for the foreseeable future? I would imagine probably not. So we do need some assistance in some capacity. And thankfully, we had former Big 12 Texas Tech head coach. He was mixed in all of it. Tommy Tuberville obviously had his opinions, and Ross Dellinger broke some of this down for us. So Ross Dellinger says, a fascinating Senate roundtable event on college athlete employment unfolded on Capitol Hill today, where comments from Senators Tommy Tuberville, Chris Murphy, and others shed light on the differentiation between the two parties. One of the things that Murphy did was evidently, according to Ross Dellinger, eviscerate Republican and NCAA arguments. I don't understand where that has any bearing here. But anywho, against athlete employment, describing those attempts as returning to a system that artificially limits and suppresses wages and encourages the industry to move to a CBA and or allow the courts to continue ruling on the issue. As it goes on, Murphy also decided to expound upon that. He also says, I think the benefit of this wild, wild west era is that we are seeing how valuable these high-performing athletes are. I'm not somebody who sheds a tear over the fact that for the first time ever, these athletes are making something close to what they are worth. Tommy Tuberville rallied against the current state, claiming that these athletes are not graduating. They're not even going to class. It's a disaster. We are ruining these kids coming through today. Tommy Tuberville believes that schools, not NIL, should be compensating athletes based on a percentage of revenues. Continuing during the roundtable, Tuberville called for Donald Trump to sign an executive order to reinstate the NCAA's one-time transfer policy and create a new eligibility standard permitting athletes 5 years to play 5 seasons with no waivers, no exceptions. I think that part of it is probably beneficial. Is a one-time transfer rule a little bit much? Probably, in this world that we live in. However, I think that we should bring back some level of an obstacle when it comes to transferring. I think we're removing some accountability from these young men. If you make it easy to just go from school to school to school to school to school every time you're unhappy, what are you learning? Like, what is your intestinal fortitude building if you're allowed to just do whatever you want whenever you're unhappy and leave whenever you want? And it is madness. It does need to have some guardrails in some capacity. This has gotten crazy. The NCAA should be doing this, but they're not. So evidently, unfortunately, the government might need to step in. We're going to continue. Ross Dellinger says on limiting transfers, Tommy Tuberville and Murphy had an exchange. Tuberville says athletes should be able to transfer once before the penalty of a 1-year policy. And Murphy said, should that be applicable to coaches too? Tommy Tuberville's like, yeah, you got me there. And I think that is important to touch upon. The coaches have the availability to leave whenever they want for whatever job they want. And players strategically should kind of have the same right, and they do at the moment. So you maybe need to address some of the coaching things as well, right? If they're supposed to be setting the example of how to do the right thing, it makes it difficult when they're not. And it makes it difficult for the kids to try to do the right thing if they see the coaches don't give 13 hoots about it. Tuberville then continued. He said, I was making money when I was coaching, not as much as they're making now. But it is ridiculous to be paying $9 to $10 million to coaches when a lot of that money should be going to the players. That part, I think all of us could agree with. This is a capitalistic society, so it's about what you're worth, too, at the same time. So if somebody dictates you're worth $10 million a year, then you're worth $10 million a year, and you should gladly accept it. However, there should be abilities for coaches to be involved in NIL. I know that's something that Mike Gundy was potentially looking into. Will there come a day that a coach making $8 million a year, could he give $1 million of his $8 million to NIL? Stuff like that should be explored because the coaches' salaries are typically pretty crazy. Like, it's hard as a coach to complain about NIL, to complain about donors, to complain about the portal if you're making $10 million a year. Senator Bill Cassidy jumped in. He held a hearing, and several times he asked for Congress to pass legislation to govern college sports as opposed to the court system continuously ruling on everything. He believes that an executive order is not the right answer because it could be overturned by the very next president, which is pretty true. And to finish this thing off, Bill Cassidy says that, the executive order is not going to be good. What's kind of crazy is that, Tommy Tuberville probably does have a pretty good pulse on this stuff. It is slightly ironic that Tommy Tuberville, he ran for the next job with the most amount of money, kind of, in the middle of the night. So he gets it. He's been a part of the problem at some point in time. And it's going to be difficult to take two different areas and try to combine them. But I think college sports is a little crazy. And as Cody Campbell mentioned, the SEC and the Big Ten, they don't give a hoot about the success of wrestling or swimming or volleyball or tennis or softball or any of that. And that's what's being affected almost as much as the recruits. Like the transfer portal, the NIL, this has already screwed high school recruits to an unprecedented level. And it's not getting any better. It's getting more difficult. You're getting more transfer portal additions as opposed to recruiting. So if there were guardrails, if there was a governing body that was willing to make sure that everybody is doing things the right way, that would be phenomenal for college sports. But sometimes the government tipping in is not beneficial. This, however, could be big for schools like Oklahoma State. If you put something in stone, this is how it has to go, and you are going to be monitored, then I think that cleans up a lot of things. I think the backdoor deals, the money bags at the back door, I think that is still happening on top of the NIL money they're already getting. So we do need a governing body to monitor this stuff. And I think this would also correct a lot of the tampering, right? If coaches know that there are guardrails, there's time frames where you can and cannot do things. And if you jump outside those time frames, you're going to get hammered for it, regardless of if you're an LSU or a Bama or an Ole Miss, because that previously has not been happening with the NCAA. If you're a heavy hitter, they don't come after you. But if you're an Oklahoma State or an SMU, yeah, you're an easy target. It allows them to make an example while also not pissing off the people that make the most amount of money. This all revolves around money. It always has. It always will. And the idea was if you make it legal for them to get money, it'll simplify things. It has made rosters a lot more intriguing, interesting, because you're getting some quality guys that were second teamers at some place and they could have been a starter. So there's a lot of benefits. I mean, Oklahoma State directly has benefited massively from the transfer portal. However, moving forward, I don't want our guys being tampered with in the middle of the season. I don't want all these SEC and Big Ten schools offering Drew Mestemaker $10 million in week 6. I don't want that. But right now, that's what it is. That's where we are, because that is the environment that we created. And the only way to fix it is, unfortunately, having a big brother of some kind come put everybody back in their place and monitor and basically do everything that the NCAA was supposed to do, but they have thrown their hands up and acted like they have no part in this. They have no say in this. There's nothing they can do in this. But they keep going through these lawsuits. That can't be fun. I don't get it. But regardless, something needs to happen. Whether it's government, NCAA finally stepping up to do their job, it doesn't matter who does it, but something has to happen, because schools like Oklahoma State are the ones that are getting the shaft the most, because we have to have a return on investment for us to keep giving $23 million, 22, 21, 25, whatever the case may be. It's predicated upon winning. We're not Alabama. We're not Georgia. We can't fork over $30 million a year, quote unquote, legally, and deal with 2 in seasons. I think it's different. Unless you have this arbitration ability to kind of come in and solidify a direct path of success for everybody to do the same thing, the same way, for the most part. It has to happen. Speaking of absolute must, you got to get squared away today with Robinhood, ladies and gentlemen. This is your opportunity for capitalization in a major way. You can't predict the markets, right? But if you could take your knowledge, your capabilities, and you could make them applicable all across the board, then it's a home run. That's what Robinhood is here to do for you. They can help you put your sports IQ to the test in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house, right? It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. You can use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood predicts market change, and that'll change the game. It's people moving the action, so momentum shifts. You can shift with it. You can move with it. I always knew about the game, right? I was lucky to play a decent amount of it, but never had a dynamic way to make it applicable, to use my on-field knowledge in a fun way. Well, now I can actually take part live in a market powered by the people. You're no longer just a spectator, play-by-play. You get to make the decisions. Trade every play with Robinhood, now available across the U.S. Make sure you download the Robinhood app now to begin precisely what you need to get ahead. It's tax season, which is never fun. I mean, all of us know how problematic this time of year can be, how stressful it can be. Doing it the old way, it's not fun. Trying to book an appointment, it's not the most convenient thing to do. Sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers, emailing back and forth and wondering if they're really going to get to your situation. This year, you're getting major update. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide, so you can meet people face-to-face with a real tax expert. And your documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app right on the spot. Just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar you deserve while you get real-time notifications as you go on about your day. It's a relief. Walking in, meeting a real person, and walking out knowing your taxes are going to be handled. Head on over to TurboTax.com/local to find a store near you to book an appointment. Again, that is TurboTax.com/local. Get taxes done the right way instead of the stressful, crazy way with TurboTax. Now we get to roll right into this conversation of the Cowboys clinging to a slight hope of an NCAA tournament. I know some of you immediately went, this guy's crazy. The Cowboys have no chance. I think the path is very, very manageable. It's extremely reasonable. We should be able to beat Colorado without Parsifala. We're beating TCU. I know, 95% doesn't matter if you don't have the right score at the end, but we physically prove that we have more capabilities athletically than TCU on their home floor in Fort Worth. Did we let it go at the very end? Yes, we did. And that is probably the most disappointing loss of the year, simply because that was a game we should have won. That was a game that we were winning the whole game, but we didn't win the Houston game either, which would put us in a much better position to still make the NCAA tournament. But kind of like the TCU game, if we won 95% of the TCU game, we won 90% of the Houston game. So do we have to get better at closing games out? Yeah, obviously. We got to be able to get to the free throw line and one opportunities and convert them. But if all that happens, Oklahoma State has a reasonable path. You should beat Colorado. I don't care what anybody says. We don't need Parsifala to beat flipping Colorado. We shouldn't need Parsifala to beat TCU. Because, again, that TCU game, that was a lot of Lepteris Montezukis. That was a lot of Andre Vukovic. So we've already proven against TCU that even with a limited version or not be able to play full version of Parsifala, we can compete. And then you get KU. I don't think anybody would disagree. You would rather go up against KU than Arizona or Houston or Texas Tech or Iowa State. So out of the potential top-end seeds that we could get to, KU is probably the best of the bunch. I mean, obviously, Darren Peterson is playing consecutive games now pretty regularly. So it seems as though he listened to the national heat and he was tired of getting the backlash of being somebody who wouldn't commit to a full game, who physically couldn't get through a full season, which is a concern whenever you're about to go through an NBA draft. Can you be healthy all year? There's questions surrounding Darren Peterson. He's answered them. He's played a ton of games now. He's probably going to play every single game from here on out. So it's not going to get easy, but if you beat Colorado, which you should, you beat TCU, which you already should have, then you get KU. And to me, that's the most manageable of the bunch. Are we going to have problems banging inside? Probably. Which is, again, why teams like Houston and Iowa State and Arizona and even Tech are pretty daggone scary. KU has plenty of dudes. They can put up a lot of points. They're okay with running in a track meet. But am I crazy? Is this not the easiest path we almost physically possibly could have gotten? The basketball gods definitely gifted us a way to get to the Big 12 title. Now, likely, we probably have to win the whole thing. I mean, we shouldn't, right? This is the Big 12. If you get over 20 wins in the Big 12, you're typically in the tournament. You should be in the tournament. If you're top 8, top 9 in the Big 12, you should be in the tournament all day, every day. But as we have seen, that's not always the case. West Virginia's 7th in the conference. West Virginia has several top tier wins, but they're not being considered to be in the tournament. They're almost being viewed the same as Oklahoma State. Maybe that's because we beat them, right? But West Virginia, they are an NCAA tournament team. And they might not get in because of ridiculousness from other places, other conferences. There's still this ridiculous, incessant need to continue to shove the SEC down our throat. Right? They're talking about putting in somebody like Auburn, who's basically a 500 ball club. And if Oklahoma State's not a tournament team, then how did Oklahoma State beat Auburn without 3 starters? I get it was an exhibition game, but if you watched it, it wasn't played like an exhibition game. They didn't run the floor like it. They were calling timeouts. They were committing fouls. Like they were doing things strategically like you would a big time NCAA tournament game. We came out of that without a couple of our best players. And they're talking about that team's better than West Virginia. It's insanity. But nonetheless, the Cowboys actually have a path. Like we could have drawn a different seed and we could have been pitted up against different teams and our path probably would have looked drastically different. However, when I look at these games, yeah, Colorado, TCU, KU, oh my goodness, manageable, right? Maybe not practical, maybe not logical to think we could win all 3. But those first 2 games, I don't care what anybody says, Oklahoma State, always and forever, should be and is this year better than Colorado. And we are equally as good, in my opinion, as TCU. And then against KU, is it going to take some Hail Marys? Yes. Is it going to take some crazy wild shots and maybe a 40 burger from Anthony Roy and 25 from Victorious Miller? Yeah, very, very probable. But it's possible. I mean, that's the one thing that we've been yearning for all year. Give us one game where Anthony Roy has 30 and Victorious Miller has 25. It's a W. It doesn't matter who we're playing. And then if Kanye Clary chips in 15, if Jalen Curry chips in 10, if Andre Vukovic chips in 8, I don't care who we play. If it's KU, that's a potential possibility to squeeze a W. Look at the Houston game. We had them all out of sorts in the first half, and it took them a while to dial it all in. They're a veteran group led by some NBA players, so it does make sense that they caught us. But again, I think that accentuates the point that the Big 12 is the deepest league in the country. It's not even close. There's always going to be this ridiculous reasoning behind we got to push the SEC all the time. Did we not prove last year? Statistically, the Big 12 outperformed the SEC. The only caveat is Florida won it. They beat Houston in the national title. If Houston would have won that ball game, I don't think the SEC would be talked about nearly as much. But they had that bragging rights moment, and that's all they care about. And they could get 13 teams in, and 7 of them could lose in the opening round, and nobody cares as long as they have a team making a deep run. So the Big 12 is battling for respect. And I think the Cowboys have a somewhat reasonable path to get in there and shake everything up. Let me know down in the comment section. Am I just flat out crazy? Speaking of being crazy, it might be that time of year to get rocking and rolling with FanDuel. College basketball, March Madness, it's almost upon us. The big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every single game. From early tip-offs to late-night West Coast shootouts, there's always action on the board. And now FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into a much bigger potential win with a college basketball parlay profit boost. You can build any college hoops parlay you want. Rivalry games, ranked matchups, whatever fits your needs. You can mix in spreads, totals, player props, and it's all predicated upon how you see the slate playing out. You can then apply your profit boost and instantly bump up the potential payout. Go safe or go super bold. Ride with the team you've been following all year. It's your parlay, it's your style. You can do it with more upside now behind it. Head on over to FanDuel.com to get started. That is, of course, FanDuel.com. Head on over there today where you can play your game with FanDuel. We also get a rock and roll with 5-Hour Energy, right? We have to have the capabilities to get anywhere and accomplish anything. And they got this basketball style draft happening. The 5-Hour Energy flavor draft has 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like Confetti Craze, Fruity Rainbow, Cotton Candy. There's literally something for everyone. The board is set. The flavors are ready. I've got my personal number one, right? I've never strayed away from strawberry watermelon being the perfect fit for me. It's my top spot, my number one choice. My number one lottery draft pick is strawberry watermelon. But how about watermelon by itself? How about some blue raspberry, some tropical burst, peach mango? Strawberry banana seems to be a massive hit on a lot of boards. So make sure you go check all them out and you figure out which one is going to be your winner. Who is your number one pick? Find your new favorite flavor of 5-Hour Energy shots. Available online, 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. Again, head on over to 5hourenergy.com or check out Amazon to get your need for speed with 5-Hour Energy. You also got to get rocking and rolling with the Everydayer Club, everybody. Locked on OklahomaState.supercast.com. And you'll get to mix it up. You get the show, obviously ad-free, and you'll be able to get in there and talk with some of the Cowboys in the show about certain topics, whether it be recruiting, whether it be spring camp, fall camp. We can get in there. We can have fun. We can chop it up. So make sure you go check out the Everydayer Club. Locked on OklahomaState.supercast.com. All right, before we do skedaddle on off here, we do have to talk about baseball, where we are playing the typically dreaded Dallas Baptist Patriots. Thankfully, this is not quite the juggernaut Dallas Baptist they have been for the last handful of years. They seem somewhat susceptible. As a pitching staff, they have almost a 6.2 team ERA, so they're almost giving up 6 runs a game as a ball club. That's their biggest problem. They're hitting like 298 as a team, so they can still clearly hit. They've got some guys that can hit for power. We know they can kill us in the small ball game because they've done it countless times in O'Brate Stadium or on the road. This is a huge game for the Cowboys because of who it is. Dallas Baptist, Oral Roberts, teams like that, UC Davis, Irvine, teams like that have come into O'Brate Stadium and given us absolute fits. And Dallas Baptist has turned into, they're like the G5 top tier program in baseball. They're the Boise State of college baseball by far. But this year, they're 9-7. So they have some chinks in their armor. However, they did just beat Louisiana, who also just took down number 2 LSU. So they clearly have guys that are capable of still performing at the Dallas Baptist level. But this is a big win for the Cowboys. You got to get this off of our back. This Dallas Baptist problem, we've got to shed it. We've got to shed this issue of the Patriots coming into O'Brate, whether it be a one-off Tuesday game, a 3-game series, a regional. Dallas Baptist treats O'Brate Stadium like we treat Houston football. They consider it a second home. They love going to O'Brate because it's the best facilities. It's a lot of action. The town's cool. The people are cool. The food's good. And they typically win. We typically get small balled to death by Dallas Baptist every stinking time they come to Stillwater, America. So did we have some great responses? Yes. Is Ethan Lund a certified, bona fide, major league dude right here, right now? Yes. So is Hudson Barrett. Is Mario Pesca continue to be that reliable piece? Yes. Is Noah Weck the best closer in the Big 12 right now? Yes. I think he's got 4 saves and second place only has like 2. Noah Weck is probably going to be the Nolan McClain level closer, which we're about to talk about Nolan McClain in the next episode, by the way. He's that guy. So we have the staff. The question is, this is a Tuesday. I think we've been leaning towards Kai Fike being the main Tuesday guy, but Stormy Rhodes could be in that equation. Brendan Phillips, Drew Blake, they seemingly have been relegated to that middle reliever role only, but Noah Weck could easily do what he's been doing on the mound and convert it to a starter role. I think when postseason comes around, you need 4 starters. When it gets to regionals, super regionals, Omaha, that kind of conversation, if you don't have 4 legitimate certified power 4 D1, almost major league level dudes, you're going to have a really difficult time getting through the postseason, even your conference tournament. So I think Noah Weck is likely to be that number 4 guy. And this is Dallas Baptist. This is a midweek game that we've struggled with for years. So I'm sure Josh Holliday has a little bit of that, you know what? We might throw a Noah Weck today. I expect it to be Kai Fike, Stormy Rhodes, Brendan Phillips, Drew Blake, Parker Jennings, even maybe. It'll probably be the cast of crew that gave up 19 runs against Gardner-Webb for the most part, because they need to get right, and you got to have a Tuesday guy. It seems like Kai is probably going to be that Tuesday guy, but the staff clearly really likes Stormy Rhodes and Parker's ability to play multiple spots and jump on the mound. Again, kind of Nolan McClain-esque. He could be a possibility here as well. Regardless, the Cowboys got to get this done. If you beat Dallas Baptist today, let's call a spade, it completely erases that ace whooping that Gardner-Webb put on us that first game. So if you win against Dallas Baptist, you completely cancel that game out. That's why it's a must win. And additionally, I think we've been primarily playing a much different brand of baseball the last couple of weeks. We've been inserting some small ball to go along with Colin Ritchie and Aiden Miola's ability to go yard. And Colin Brueggemann, you got to give him props, man. He's been playing well recently. The first part of the season was a struggle bus of epic proportions for Colin Brueggemann. The last few games, he's been a completely different animal. So the Cowboys have the ability to go long. We've known that. We've known that for years. Now we're showing that we've got some speed with Remo and Ezra and Sebastian that it's hard. It's hard to replicate. So I'm glad that we're utilizing them. I'm glad that Dallas Baptist is coming to town because this has been a difficult proposition for us recently. Anywho, again, go check out the Everydayer Club, LockedOnOklahomaState.supercast.com. And that's about it. You know how it is. God bless. Go Pokes. Thank you for tuning in to make this your first listening here in Locked On Oklahoma State. You could be anywhere. So happy you choose to be here. Do me a favor, hit the like button if you liked it, dislike if you didn't. That's okay too. More importantly, share, comment, and subscribe my podcast. And people, you're everything that makes this work. I appreciate what you do. Go do what you do. Hit the stars. Leave some reviews. All right, y'all. Later, taters.